So someone I know, I won't say who, like during this time gave me a copy. Their union gave them a list of every production happening in the United States at that time. And they made a copy for me, probably against the rules. But I took it, and I had at the time 2 friends living in New York. And so I like messaged them like, hey, can I come up for like a month and just see what happens? And so I flew up. I was alternating between their couches, which was a whole thing in itself, like going up and down Manhattan with my bags every couple days. Because I was like, I don't want to be a burden on any one person. And at the same time, I was emailing every production that was happening in New York. And I was like living the unemployed life. I went to the free day at the US Open. I was in a taping for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire when it was like Meredith Vieira hosting it. And so when I got out, I had a voicemail that was this company or this production. They're like, hey, we need a costume PA. Will you come interview? And I went in, and it was called Woody Allen's Secret Project, but it became Blue Jasmine, which is like, if you look back now, it's like the most canceled cast of all time.
Who was it?
It's like Woody Allen, Louis C.K., Andrew Dice Clay, Alec Baldwin. But I was, this was before I knew anything about like Woody Allen's bad side. I mean, I might have heard hints of it, but it was before, cancel culture. He was still happily making movies. And I was a big fan. I'd written an essay about him, and so in college, in film school, and at the end of the interview went really well. And at the end, the production coordinator was like, "You're comfortable driving in the city, right?" And I was like, "Yeah," even though I'd never driven in New York at all. And so my first day on the job, well, the day before that, I was like trying to find lessons, driving lessons in the city. I couldn't find one because I was like so nervous. I'd only driven in Charleston. That was like the biggest city
my God,
I had ever driven in. And so my first task was to get a rental car and pick up the costume designer.
Okay.
And so it was basically like a month of pure panic, just like me living in the city on my friend's couches, waking up at like 4 a.m., picking up the rental car from a parking garage, driving to set, which was usually on Long Island somewhere. Then at night, we'd drop off clothes and stuff. And the costume designer would be like, take me to Whole Foods. So then after this long day, I'd sit out there. She was awesome. She like worked on Ghostbusters and stuff. The whole costume base was in her apartment, which was like, an elevator just opened up to an entire floor. That was like her apartment in the middle of New York. She got it in the 70s, and it was like rent controlled and like so crazy nice. But the craziest time, I just kept pushing. I was like, I'll say I could drive in New York. This is me just like, I'll see how far I could go with this.
Yeah.
It almost felt like I was a scam artist, like an outsider, because I'm from North Carolina, not involved in Hollywood at all. And now, like, the first time I ever really had to parallel park was behind like Alec Baldwin's trailer, and it was a disaster. It was just a crazy time. And the last bit was filmed in the Hamptons. And so the crew was staying in one hotel, but my boss was like, I want him here in the morning so I can just hop in the car and go. So I was staying at this nice, like, private inn.
In the Hamptons?
Yeah. And when we walked in, at the bar was Kate Blanchett and the cinematographer. Like, she was the star of the movie, and she was just there. And I remember, like, taking my boss's bags to her room, and they're like, we'll be out to meet you soon, like her and her assistant. And I was like, can I go out there later? And she's like, make your own decisions. She like didn't tell me yes or no. She's just like, you make your own decisions. I'm like, okay, I'm going out there. And I go and like sit and drink with Kate Blanchett.
Really?
Yeah. And
were you creepy or were you cool?
I was cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I waited for my boss to get down there, and she like introduced us, and we were cool.
Nothing like, you didn't embarrass yourself.
No, yeah. I don't think so. But the bartender was like the hotel employee, and they were like starstruck, not by me, but Kate Blanchett was like, I'm kind of hungry. And this person was like, oh, I just got this Chinese food. Do you want this Chinese food? Like giving her their Chinese food. Just like, I wasn't gonna eat it. I promise, I wasn't. And then
It's like, no.
no, she took it.
She took it?
Yeah, and then I was like, "Can I have some of that?" So I ate this hotel employee's food
off
in
of
front
Kate
of them.
Blanchett's
Yeah.
plate.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know if this is a regret in life or if I made the right decision, but I'd been drinking a bit, and the costume designer was like, "Hey." And this was like after this long shoot where I felt like I was getting taken advantage of a little bit. She was like, "Will you drive us to dinner?" And I was like, "I've been drinking." And then I just went to my room. But I was like, I could have had dinner with all them. I don't know. I don't know if I was like, that was a good boundary or.
Well, if you would have crashed the car, dude,
Yeah, that would have
then
been.
it's a much different story. You crashed and killed all those people.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to prison.
Yeah.
That's it. An adult Timmy in prison is not
Yeah, no.
a great look.
And I wasn't even an adult then, really.
No. God damn. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's just name dropping. I don't know. It was a crazy time in my life.
Yeah. I had no idea about that backstory, so that's cool to hear.
Yeah, and then immediately after we were done shooting, I like went back to South Carolina. I was like, this is way too stressful.
Yeah. That sounds miserable being in New York, living that type of pace. Hey, if you like that video, make sure to hit the subscribe button below and follow our page for new weekly content. I hope you're fucking happy with this, dude. I hate doing this shit.